Hey, thank you so much for joining us on Leading in the Moment. I'm your host, Kristen Keogh. Today, we are joined by Michael McMahon, and he is the founder of Urban Farming Education, a very cool program here in the Valley that has shifted to do some amazing things to help people out in our community since the COVID-19 pandemic began. So, Michael, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So just to start, tell us a little bit more about Urban Farming Education and how you guys have been serving our community even before the pandemic.
Sure. We initially I'm a commercial landscaper, and we started farming and doing a nursery grow at Central Avenue in Phoenix, right down on between Indian School and Camelback, and it's about 15 acres, and we had nonprofits growing there, and we're a community garden. And while we were there, we realized that there was a greater need for people to grow their own food throughout the valley, and there was more and more organizations that we felt that we could help, specifically by building gardens. So we started working with and building gardens and creating programs with schools, domestic violence shelters, the elderly, the disabled, and homeless, and with foster care. Those are our targeted groups. We've built several gardens, and we've created those programs. And the reason we do it is for some basic sustenance, primarily for education, for kids to get connected to where their food comes from and how you grow it, how you cook it, but also ecotherapy. So it's great for victims of PTSD. It's good for elderly. It's really good for anyone who just wants to go outside and work with nature and biology. So that's the reason we exist. That's what our entire purpose is.
I absolutely love that. I am going to have a little boy in August, and it's really important to me that he understands where his food comes from and has an appreciation for fresh produce and farming. So I think it's amazing that you're doing so much to educate children while also serving the most vulnerable people in our community. And since the pandemic began, you guys have started doing that even more so. Tell me a little bit about what you guys have done, how you've shifted to be able to make sure that people in our community are getting healthy food at this time.
Sure. So we came up with the realization, and talking to farmers and friends, that as soon as the economy shut down, as soon as the restaurants were closed, there was a large amount of food that was no longer able to be distributed. So about 30% of the food in the country goes to restaurants. Well, there are no restaurants open, or were no restaurants open, so that food was basically having to be destroyed. Farmers were basically getting to a point where they had to plow their food in. It wasn't worth the expense of actually harvesting it and boxing it. There was no place for it to go. A lot of the markets, like down in Mexico where the milk was being sent, was also, the borders were closed off. So there was a major disruption in the distribution of the food system. So, our thought is that we have a central location, that we also are serving some marginalized groups that are going to definitely be further impacted with the virus. But now we're seeing a large economic fallout. There's the highest unemployment rate we've seen in 100 years. And at some point, that unemployment, people are going to run out of benefits. So the idea is we could just act as an intermediary to help with an existing food network, which is the food banks, who are being a little overwhelmed right now. And so that's what our purpose is. And we've created a collaboration with other like-minded organizations, and we started getting volunteers, and it's been really amazing because volunteerism is something that people do just out of their own generosity and the kindness. And I think a lot of people have been bottled up, and we all feel a little bit helpless when we're stuck at home and there's nothing we seem to be able to do to help, people who are in trouble. And now we're seeing other organizations wanting to be part of the effort, and a lot of volunteers.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like you guys are just handing out a few things. You're giving out hundreds of 30-pound boxes. And this is fresh produce. A lot of it is organic. I mean, this is amazing for families who need it. And especially in this time, we're all trying to stay as healthy as possible. We don't want everybody at home eating processed food. We want them having fresh, colorful fruits and vegetables. And you guys are filling that need in such an amazing and impressive way. So talk a little bit about how you have been distributing these boxes and how people in the future who are in need can get their hands on some of this food.
Sure. So we're trying to take advantage of existing systems. We don't want to be redundant, and we certainly don't want to be in the way of any existing distribution. So we became a temporary agency of St. Mary's, and a lot of the food comes from St. Mary's. We queue up with other agencies. And what we've also done is gone out to schools and school districts. So we kind of piggyback on the lunch program that's where they're already distributing to kids on a daily basis. And it allows us to distribute the boxes there. So we get all the produce in. It's quite a big production, but we rebox everything into these 30-pound boxes. And we usually have a variety of 6 or 7 vegetables and 3 fruits. And we've gotten donations from organic bakeries, and so we'll add bread or whatever food products we can get. Ideally, we're getting organic. We're getting vegetables and fresh products that you normally wouldn't get when you're going to a food bank that might only have canned goods and that sort of thing. So it's kind of in line with what we do as well, which is growing fresh food.
And when it comes to being able to pull this off, you mentioned that you've collaborated with a lot of different organizations. I'd love for you to give them a shout out if you would like to, just because, it really does take a village, and you guys are pulling off something really incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it seemed like it was going to be a kind of an easy thing for me when we first started, and I couldn't believe how many people it really required to do the task. And we try to get there really early in the morning. We have shade houses out there, so we try to beat the sun, so to speak. But with the organizations that have started this is Living Green Magazine, Agave Farms, of course, which is our physical location on Central, Amici Catering, and Witnessing Nature and Food. So that's the initial group, and that group will probably be doubled or tripled within the next few days with other like-minded organizations that want to help.
Well, it's great to see all these people coming together, so we thank them and you. And where is the best place for people to get information about this effort? I know you guys are posting a ton on Instagram. That's where I've been getting all of my updates.
Sure. So we've just kind of converted our website, and it's weareufe.org, and pretty much all the information is on there. So a lot of this stuff is happening in real time, so it's crazy. It's hard to kind of plan out, but we have to get the food, then we have to create the event to rebox it, and then we decide where that redistribution is going to happen.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, and that's understandable. I mean, it really is. It's happening, just also quickly, and things keep changing in the midst of this pandemic. So we all appreciate all the effort that you and the partners in this and the volunteers, we just appreciate it all so much. So Michael, thank you so much for joining us. And we will make sure that we post that information on the website and the social media channels as well, so that everybody can learn more and get the help of the food donations if they need it. So we really appreciate you, Michael.
Thank you. Appreciate being on today, Kristen, and thanks for spreading the word.
All right, we'll catch you next time on Leading in the Moment.